It's now my pleasure to introduce Clint Armistead, Special Olympics activist and Ecuador Peace Corps volunteer. Clint has been an activist for people with intellectual disabilities for many years. Clint will moderate a discussion with 4 knowledgeable panel members. Please welcome Clint Armistead. Clint.
Hello, I would like to introduce our panel members. We have, and if they will come up on the stage as I say their name, Linda Potter, Unified Sports and Volunteer Leader. Come on up and just take a seat. We have Dr. Veii, Director of Sport from Namibia, the Republic of Namibia. We have Deidre Lind, Executive Director of Mattel's Children's Foundation and Mattel Philanthropy Programs. And last but not least, Jennifer Corriero, from Executive Director and Co-Founder of TakingITGlobal. So today we're sitting around talking about, in this conversation series, about youth empowerment and how we can get youth involved in Special Olympics. And youth cannot get involved in Special Olympics without adult help. It's never about them and us, it's all about us. So today we're going to ask a few questions to our panel members for about 20 minutes. And first off, I'd like to start with Jennifer from TakingITGlobal, our media expert, as it were. Is in regards to social media, how do you see that playing a role within youth's lives and in the nonprofit sector? Is there an effective reach between the youth and nonprofits through this message?
Well, thanks for the opening question. And just in reflecting on the keynote presentation that we all heard, I think the biggest power that social media has to offer generations of young people is the power of storytelling and your stories, all of our stories. And I would actually say that social media provides the ability for young people to empower themselves. And this was something that I discovered more than a decade ago when I was a teenager, and I was creating my first website, and it was actually about stories of Canadian women throughout history who aren't recognized in the textbooks. And sometimes there are stories, heroic stories that go untold, you know, those sort of unsung heroes. And I think that the power that social media has to offer us as we're trying to promote a revolution with dignity, for example, is for us to be able to help use the technology to tell those stories of hope and inspiration and courage and leadership and unity and all of the messages that are really coming from the Special Olympics. And those stories can be told through, you know, people writing their own blogs or through Twitter or through Facebook pages or through YouTube videos. People can create their own platforms. I mean, with TakingITGlobal, we're pulling together all of these types of inspirational stories from young leaders and trying to showcase that kind of leadership, a new culture of leadership that's emerging. And so I don't think it's just the technology in and of itself, but it's how we're using it to create empowered cultures and generations.
Thank you. And Linda, from your perspective as a unified sports organizer, do you see many people online sharing about what they've learned at Unified Sports?
I do. I see my 5 children online, and I've seen so many people here today at this conference, but certainly there's been a huge exchange of information.
And what are some of those things they're sharing? Or do you see from Unified Sports and volunteering with Special Olympics that young people can learn and are moved by?
Well, I guess I've seen the greatest impact personally. Excuse me, not used to having a mic, used to screaming. I've seen the greatest impact on my own children. I have 5 kids, several of whom are here this week, all of whom soon will be here this week. And we started back in 1998 a unified basketball team. And so actually when I was pregnant with our 5th child, they were all getting involved as partners on our team at a local level. And we have learned as a family, our children, and I think us as parents, so many of the fundamental skills and values that I think we certainly have always wanted for our children. And you know, I've always said to my husband that Special Olympics is the best experience we could ever have as a family. And you know, we look forward to continuing. And and having our children take forward all these skills and values that they've learned. I did make a short list of just some of the impact I've seen from particularly the experience of our children at the local level as partners and coaches on our unified team. And I think, I've seen them as very young people learning to listen much better and in a different way than I think some of us learned growing up. Not just listening to am I continually coming undone? No. Oh, thank you. I've seen my children listen in a very different way than I learned to listen as a young person, not just to what people are saying, but to their facial expressions, to their body language, which I think is so essential to being a good partner on a Special Olympics team, essential really to doing anything well in life. I've seen them learn to accept differences as a good thing, and oftentimes not to see outward differences at all. I've seen them learn to partner equally and to see the strengths in someone else's different abilities, to reject stereotypes, to believe in someone else's enormous potential, and to learn to believe in their own. I've seen them learn to understand that success comes only with discipline and determination, and they can't give up after several failures. They have to keep at it, and they'll succeed, and they've seen that in so many of the athletes to whom they've partnered. And I think one of the best things about Special Olympics that I feel like we've all experienced here this week is just how much fun you can have along the way. And so it's really been an ideal experience, I think, for learning skills and values, not just for my kids, but certainly for me.
I think we all experience that when we come to Special Olympics, things of that nature, that they transform us. From a corporate standpoint, Deidre, how do you see that some of these factors that affect children, Mattel being focused on children all the time, what are some of the reasons why you all get involved in making Special Olympics a global signature partner since 2005? What is it that drives you? Are some of these same reasons that Linda just mentioned?
Well, just as...
I think we'll use that mic as well. Mine's the only one working.
Thanks, Linda. Well, just as Linda talked about seeing the power of Special Olympics amongst her 5 children, I've had the privilege of seeing the power of Special Olympics amongst 50 employees that we've brought here, as Kevin mentioned, from 20 countries. And to see those 50 employees come together to learn about acceptance and joy and respect and dignity, and to see that happen amongst these employees who then will be going back to their own countries and sharing those messages with their offices, their Mattel offices, it's incredibly powerful. And when you see that happen amongst such a large group, it's very exciting to think about the power of the movement amongst hundreds and thousands and millions of people around the world. The reason why Mattel has partnered with Special Olympics is a couple different reasons, actually. One is that at Mattel, we really believe in the power of play, which is probably no surprise since we make the Barbies and Hot Wheels and Fisher-Price toys that many of you may have enjoyed playing with over the years. And the power of play really is very symbolic. I think through play, there's sharing and learning of acceptance. There's connectivity that happens through play. And it's through play that we here have all seen what happens with the in the athletic venues and with the athletes. So when we see the power of that play happen amongst people with and without intellectual disabilities here at Special Olympics, it's very exciting for us. We have been able to embrace this partnership in a number of different ways, and I think that's been something that has ensured our success with the partnership. We not only provide funding, as Kevin talked about, for youth programs, but we also have our volunteers. We have a board member, as you saw earlier with Kevin. We also have our product donations that happen. I'm not sure how many of you know, but every single athlete at these games has received a unique Hot Wheels made specifically for these games. This Hot Wheel is not available for sale. It's only been made to be given to the athletes, which is really quite special and unique. So to be able to take all of the resources that we have at our fingertips and be able to dedicate those to our Special Olympics partnership, I think is really exciting.